Hey guys, and welcome to how to paint a purple to yellow blend on a Underworlds Shadowstalker. Okay, so we're going to be doing this blend on this sort of robe here, and this blend is interesting because we're going to be going up through a purple to magenta to yellow blend. But one of the things that you're going to notice is that when you're mixing yellow into purple, you're going to get a sort of very peachy kind of magenta tone. But if the yellow has too much white in it, it ends up going to a flesh tone, which is interesting. So if you've never blended colors before, this is a really good one to try because you're going to start to learn about how different colors mix and what happens when you do that, right? So on the color wheel, you'll see this. And so to get to the higher, brighter levels of yellow, what we're going to do is we're going to start from this deep yellow here, which has less white in it, so we'll blend with the purples and the magenta. But then to get those final bright highlights, which you'll want a little bit of white mixed in, instead then we'll then transition out to this light yellow, but which has more white in it, but not use that in the blend with the purples, so you won't get that flesh tone coming through. So it's an interesting little conundrum you have to resolve if you want to get that nice contrast from dark to light, but it is something that's really cool to try because again you get to learn about how these colors mix. So I think that's going to be really fun. So grab yourself a model and let's get started, eh? Okay, so to begin with, when you're doing these types of colored blends, I usually start from a color, not usually black. And there's a reason for this because it helps, enrich the color and gives you something that isn't black in the shadows as you're building up. So we're going to use that night blue there, and you'll see me painting it onto that cloak just to give us something to work from and build off of. And the dark blue blends in nicely with purple and so on. So you're not getting a clashing color. It's going to blend seamlessly. And so once that's down, then we set up the gradient. So you will have seen me do this many times, but we're setting up in a line, going lighter and lighter and lighter. So royal purple up through magenta, and then magenta into golden yellow, and then finally the light yellow at the end. And so you'll just see me building in that royal purple, which is really the first actual base color for this one. So we're painting most of the cloak here, leaving maybe small areas of blue, but keeping it pretty painterly and loose. You're just building in that royal purple and giving it a nice coat, adding a couple of drops of water into your paint as you go. When you're doing these kinds of gradients, you don't want to add water to every step first. You just mix the colors up and leave them on the palette and then add the water as you use them, and that'll keep them fresh and wet so that you can use them. So once all that's down, you'll see me just coming around and picking out all those details, paying attention to the form and the folds and the robes and so on. Then we're moving into that first sort of step of the layering process. So this is the magenta mixed with the purple, so probably about a 50-50, somewhere like that. And you're going to see me just begin painting a little bit less of the model, so paying more attention to the areas where you want to fade out into the yellow and less in the really deep areas and the shadowed areas. So you're starting that sort of sketching process, so just building in those colors and just working it out to give you some light. And then once that's down, we move into the straight magenta, and this is where you're now very clearly establishing that layering process and the lights and darks, so the raised areas on the cloak, the ripples along the back there, the edges and so on. And so you'll start to see a difference between the dark areas and the light, and that's going to make it easier for you as we move into the yellow, and again paying more attention to the ends and fading out towards the ends there where it's going to be lighter. And so once that's down, now we move into where the golden yellow starts to influence the magenta. So there's a few steps here, and this is the first one. So probably just a few drops of the golden yellow in, so we're making a sort of a peachy tone, and that's now into the highlight stages. So you're just highlighting up all the edges, doing not too much less, but less than the previous step, so that you've got still a lot of the magenta and the purple there. And then once you've sort of gotten most of where you want, you don't have to be perfect here, then we'll move into the next one, which is your sort of most bold, I guess, highlight for this stage. So that's more golden yellow mixed in, not quite 50-50, but it's going to be more in that realm, and you're going to start to now really refine the highlights and give a more I guess focused attention on those highlights, so you get nice crisp edges towards the ends, and again paying most attention to the end of the cloak where it's going to be lighter. And then finally, we've got a third highlight, and this one is Now, not, you know, even more golden yellow. It's not quite golden yellow yet, but we're still in that peach realm. But now you're doing even less. So just the tips of the model, etc. You're building in that really brighter, almost golden yellow color along the edges, and you're going to see me just come in and pick out all those ends and give us a nice area there to really punch up the yellow in a few stages. So then the final step, as you see me doing it, is now almost golden yellow, and this one you'll need a fine detail brush, and you're going to be hitting those ends and setting up a nice base so we can add that light yellow on, because as I said before, we're not mixing the light yellow in, it's going to go straight on, so it's not being influenced by the peach color. Otherwise you end up with that you know, flesh tone coming through. So we're just hitting up all those ends, and then finally, once we've sort of got enough of that yellow down, then you come in for your spot highlight at the end with the light yellow. And you know, you can mix a little tiny bit of the golden yellow in into that mix as you're seeing me do, but it's pretty much straight light yellow, and that one's just sort of like doing a spot highlight with white. And so you're hitting the very tips of the cloak and any of the points and so on, not going everywhere, just on the main areas, the focal points of that cloak, just to really bring it out and give you that really you know, vibrant yellow on the ends, and get a nice contrast between the blue and all the way up through purples, magentas, and into that yellow. And there we go, one purple to yellow blend on an Underworlds Shadowstalker. So let's take a look. So yeah, you can see it comes out really cool, right? You've got the nice purple in the shadows, and then it goes out to the yellow on the ends. And using that light yellow at the end just helps, you know, make that yellow stand out a little more from the purple, because the purple does dominate a lot of the color. So it's nice to get that little bit of extra pop on the ends. But I think it's a really cool one, and I hope you enjoy having a go at it, because yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's good for contrasting against colors like the green, this sort of fluoro green, that sort of thing. Works well for things like Necromunda, a lot of game systems like that use a lot of vibrant colors, and MCP, like my Mr. Sinister, that use this color as well. Yeah, it works really well on those sorts of minis. But I hope you've enjoyed this. I'll leave a nice image for her at the end so you can take a look. But I hope you've enjoyed this. Please hit that like button, subscribe button, it really helps me out. And I guess I'll catch you on the next one.